What is going on, guys, and welcome back to the channel. I got another video coming at you for today. In the last video we talked a little bit about macros and dieting and things like that. In this video we're going to talk about weightlifting accessories, weight belts, wrist wraps, wrist straps, knee wraps, you name it. We're going to talk about it, how to use it, when to use it, and should you use it coming up. Just to get right into the video, guys, a lot lately I've been seeing people wearing belts like this one here. They wear it, right? They put it on. They literally put it on at the beginning of the workout. Okay, and then they walk around like this. Sometimes they got their cute little name on the back and they walk around like this literally the entire workout, whether they're doing arms, shoulders, traps, back, legs, like no matter what they're doing, they could be doing calves and they have this on. Ridiculous, okay? So that's what we're gonna talk about today. But that's just one of the things. We're also gonna talk about knee wraps or like sleeves, and also these. So these I call straps. I don't know what you guys call them, but these I call straps. You put them around your hand like that, and then it goes around the bar, gives you some grip strength if you don't have any, like myself. Another one is a wrist wrap, where you actually wrap your wrist, so when you're doing push, like press movements, your wrist doesn't kind of do one of these numbers. There are definitely right ways to use this equipment as tools and definitely wrong ways. So one thing I want to like kind of use as a preface is in different sports like powerlifting and bodybuilding, right? You're gonna use a belt or sometimes wrist wraps or things like that, but in powerlifting especially, they are going to wear their belt all the time, like 99.999%. Why? It's because they want the most strength. The belt allows you to push all your air out against the belt and then makes your core stronger during the lift. The problem is when you take the belt off, if you were to do the same squat, you're pushing outward because you've trained yourself to do that, and there's nothing there. Like the belt's not there to push back on you, so your core's not staying tight, and that's not what you want if you're gonna be a bodybuilder. Because bodybuilders, we want the most muscle, we don't really care about weight. But a powerlifter wants to lift as much as they can, and the belt allows them to do that because they don't have to necessarily keep their core tight. They want to push their stomach muscles against the belt. The belt is tight and it pushes back on them, keeping their core very, very tight, which makes the lift a little bit safer for them, and that's strictly a powerlifting thing. Now, if you're just an average, ordinary dude, regular Joe, no big deal. There's definitely nothing wrong with it at all, but you don't need to be using 99% of the time a belt or wraps or straps or any kind of sleeves or anything like that, because you really just want to use what your body is capable of. If you're using these things as a regular average Joe, they're not necessary is what I'm trying to say. Like, if you can't lift the weight without one of these tools, you probably shouldn't, if that makes sense. Now, bodybuilders will use the tool to lift more weight, sometimes to increase the muscle size. But like I said, if you're just trying to maintain, you're just in there for your health, then you don't need to use it. But also, just to add on to that, I only personally use these things when I absolutely need to. I see, like in the beginning of the video when I talked about, I see people wearing the belt. When they come in the gym, they put the belt on like it's an accessory. They wear it around. They wear it when they're doing chest. I don't understand why you're wearing it when you do chest, but let's just top that, and they're wearing it when they're doing shoulders. Now, I'm not talking about a press. I'm talking about you're standing doing lateral and they're going like this with a belt on. Or curls. Why are you curling with the belt on? Take the belt off. It's not an accessory. It's not a fashion statement. People make it look cool on Instagram because they have their name engraved on the back. That's not what it's for. This is not a belt. If you're gonna wear it like that, then I also want to see you wear it out to the club because it looks the same. It's ridiculous. I did mention that there's a right way and a wrong way to use them, so I just want to go over the right ways to use these tools just like that, as tools, because that's how they should be used smart, right? Like everything else we've talked about, there's a good way to do it and a bad way to do it, a right way and a wrong way, and it's no different, right? We have all these tools and they're great, and I'm an advocate for all of those as long as they're being used for that. So let's just go through the list here. The belt, how do you use the belt? All right, check it out. So what you want to do and what I do, so for bodybuilding is what I really should say, if you want more muscle, you're gonna have to lift weights that are heavier than you may be comfortable with, right? And so when I'm doing squats, I don't start out with the belt, okay? When I start warming up, I don't start with the belt. I warm up. Once I get to maybe my top set or my top 2 sets, I put the belt on. Why? Because I don't want injury, I wanna grow my legs. Now I've been using my core all the way up to my top set, which is what we want, bodybuilder mentality here. So I'm building my core, but then when I get to the top set, right, I don't want to injure myself, throw out my back, because the belt does protect you. I don't want to risk injury because I want more weight. I want more weight because I'm now focusing on my quads. I want to get as much out of my quads as I can, not necessarily my core, but I didn't wear the belt the entire time. It's the same way with deadlifts, right? If you don't train your core to basically do its job with a deadlift, and then you go to deadlift without a belt later in life, you're gonna just throw out your back. So when I warm up with deadlifts or rack pulls, it's the same thing. I'm gonna use my core, I'm gonna do proper form, I'm gonna do everything I can without the belt. Once I get to a weight that I need the belt, probably my top set or my top 2 sets, where this is where I really, really wanna use my back and I'm not concerned with my core as much, I'm gonna throw the belt on, I'm gonna get those last 2 sets with my heaviest weight, and then I'm going to take it off. I'm gonna call it a day. Now, the belt should never, in my opinion, be used for curls, lateral raises, rear delt raises, bench press, anything that doesn't require a belt. We shouldn't be wearing a belt. And like I said earlier, I don't know where this came from. I think it's a trendy thing on Instagram. People see other competitors wear it as soon as they come in the gym, and it's just wrong. Like, I'm just gonna leave it at that. It just doesn't make any sense, and I'm just gonna leave it at that. Now, to touch on wraps and straps. So like I said, wraps is when you wrap it around your wrist, a strap is when you use it for your grip. So like a deadlift, any kind of pulling motion really, like a lat pull down, things like that. Now, for me, the reason I use straps is because when I'm doing pull downs, right, I can pull down a lot more than my forearm and my grip strength can hold on to. So the thing is, my forearm's giving out before my back. And as a bodybuilder, I don't want that because I need my back to grow, but my back's not gonna grow if my forearm is giving out early. So I use them. If you really wanna get technical here, the right way to do it is I should absolutely drop the wrist wraps and just do the weight that I can for as long as I can until my grip strength catches up with my back. That's exactly what I should be doing. However, it's just not the normal bodybuilding approach. The approach is I do as much as I can, same technique as the belt. I do as much as I can without the strap, and then I put it on and I pump out those extra 2 or 3 sets that I just literally couldn't hold on to the bar for. Another big one is deadlifts. Even if you have like amazing grip strength, once you get to the 500s and things like that, and even if you're using chalk and stuff, you can have it slip out of your hands. And so these are a great tool to use to make sure you're holding on to the weight, because like I said, we're working the back. I'm not working my forearms right now, I'm trying to work my back. And that's a lot of what bodybuilding is. But if you're a normal average person, what I would say is don't use them at all, do it the right way, and get your grip strength up so when you do these movements, you don't need it. To touch on wraps a little bit, just don't ever use them. I used to use them all the time, and my coach was like, why are you using these, for bench press? Because in your head, it makes you feel safer, but what it's doing is you wrap your wrist, and I would wrap my wrist and do the whole workout like that, right? You wrap your wrist, and then it's the same thing. It becomes a crutch because you're wrapping your wrist, so your wrist doesn't have to stay tight. So your wrist is like, well, I don't really even need to use these muscles. So you're doing all your presses, your shoulder press, your bench press, all those types of presses, and your wrist is wrapped. Now you take it off and you have a weak wrist. So if you ever forget your wraps, which I'm sure those of you that use them every day and you're nodding your head right now going, I do that. And when you lose or forget your wrist wraps, I guarantee you're like, you feel lost, like you can't even work out. That's terrible. Any of these things that you don't bring, you don't ever want to feel like you can't lift because you didn't bring it. You don't ever want to get to the gym and go, well, I forgot my belt or my straps or my wraps. I can't even really do what I want to do. That's how you know you're using things improperly. And I know a lot of individuals at the gym that if they forgot their belt, they wouldn't know what to do because they do every single lift with their belt. To just finish up on the topic of the wraps there, same thing. If you see a powerlifter using it, they may also use something called the slingshot, which basically helps them. It's just, these are techniques that a powerlifter uses because a powerlifter doesn't care about his wrist strength. He cares about his chest, right? And it's kind of like the straps when you get up in weight for a bodybuilder for a deadlift, right? Like I don't use them until I need them. Powerlifters doing bench press, you gotta think, some of these guys are benching 405 or 495. The last thing they want is their wrist to do this and then the bar comes slamming down on their throat, that would be absolutely painful. So they just wrap it. They just wrap it all the time. They don't care because that's not their goal. Their goal is, I wanna work the chest. Same thing when I do pull downs. I don't care if my forearm's weak because I want my back to get huge and wide and I want that V. If you're a normal person, don't ever use wraps, don't ever touch them, you don't need them. If you start to need them as a crutch, like I said before, bad idea, just bad idea. Lastly, let's talk knee wraps or knee sleeves. So literally, it's really easy, it's basic, it's the same thing. I don't use them until I absolutely need them, and it's to protect my knees. But just like the wrist wraps, if you're always wrapping your knees for every single leg movement, then when you take them off, you're gonna find your knees are weak. What you kind of need to do, and some of you guys are probably just gonna have to say, I gotta stop with all the tools for a while and kind of restart, and it could take months and it will suck, but you're doing yourself a service later because if you don't let your knees take the brunt of it on most movements, you're just forming weak muscles around the knee. Everything about it is just gonna be weak. It's just like your wrist. It's just going to get weak, it's going to give out. And then if you forget these things, you're screwed for leg day. So, same technique for me. I don't use them. I actually use them less often than I use the belt. If it's a really, really heavy day, then I will throw them on and I throw them on last. Normally, it's the top set only, and I mean only. Very, very heavy weight for me. Now, it's same for you guys. Just because you don't get to 500 pounds, that doesn't mean, this is all situational. It's individualized, right? Lifting, dieting, all of this stuff is based on you. If 225 for a squat for you is outrageously insane, it's super hard and all your sets leading up were tough, and this is your top set, you're all out, absolutely. This is when I would say pull them out, wrap them up. You don't want to break your leg or have your knee just snap out because you're using a really heavy weight that you're not used to. And also, I don't know what you weigh. Maybe you weigh, 135 pounds, and 225 that's a lot. Like I said, just all situational, but that's why I'm mentioning the top set or the top 2 sets. The point is, don't use these as crutches, use them as tools. And if they're used as tools, then like everything else and all the other videos I've been talking about, it'll help you reach your maximum potential. And that is actually gonna be it for me today, guys. If you enjoyed this video or you got something out of it, please smash that like button. Be sure to subscribe if you're watching me on YouTube for more content just like this. Follow if you're watching me on Instagram. And if you made it this far, leave a comment below. Let me know you made it this far, or if you have a question or anything like that, just post it down below. I will see you guys in the next one.